Hello everyone, and welcome to our thoughts for the week. Today's story is about a Bible character who was really very brave and took some really big risks. I wonder if you're thinking that the person I'm talking about must be a soldier or a great hero who fought, because I've said that they were brave and took risks. And of course, it's not. The person who I'm talking about is a lady called Esther. And although ladies now can be in armies, they couldn't back when Esther was alive. Esther was a member of the Jewish nation. But in the days when she was alive, the Jewish people had been captured and a lot of them had been carried off to another country called Persia. And they were living there as servants and as captives of the Persian people. Now the Persians had a great king called Xerxes, and he wanted a new wife. Lots and lots of beautiful girls were found all across the city and were told to make themselves as beautiful as possible so that they could see whether Xerxes would want them to be his wife. Esther was one of those ladies. And so the first brave thing she did was something that you wouldn't expect, because she had to join in and make herself as beautiful as possible in order to see if she could be a wife to the king. She didn't have a choice about this. She had to try to be a wife to the king. If she'd said no, they would probably have made her a slave and she would have been in trouble. She had to try. And so she spent a lot of time making herself beautiful. And before she went to meet the king, she had to put on special ointments and oils. She probably put on some perfume, some lovely smelling perfume to make herself smell as nice as she possibly could. And she had lots of baths and used things like bath salts, like the ones I've got here, and bath oils and things like that. And she would have had lotions and creams to rub in on her face and her hands, a bit like the stuff I've got here. And she would have tried to make herself as beautiful as possible. She'd have put makeup on her face, had her hair done as beautifully as she could, her nails done as beautifully as she could, to make herself look wonderful and smell wonderful. I think I do now as well. And she did it because she was going to have to face the king. She prayed very hard too and asked her friends to pray for her as she did all of this. And the king chose her. She became the queen. Now, there were people in King Xerxes' palace who didn't like Jews. They didn't care that their new queen was a Jew. They didn't like Jews. And one of them in particular, Haman, wanted to have all the Jews put to death. Esther's uncle, Mordecai, asked her to help. But the rules in the palace were very strict. King Xerxes was a great and terrifying king. Esther couldn't just go and talk to him. It didn't matter that she was his wife. He was very important, and if she just tried to walk into a room without being invited, he could have had her put to death. And so to decide to go and see him without being summoned was a very brave thing to do. It was risky, because if she walked into the room and he said, "What are you doing here? I don't want you here," he could have had her put to death and just chosen another wife. And so she asked everybody to pray for her. And as part of their praying, they all went without food. And instead of having their dinner, they prayed. And she put on the oils and the lotions and the makeup and made herself as beautiful as possible for him. And then, saying one last prayer and asking God for help, she went to see the king. and he was very pleased to see her. She'd made so much effort, both with her prayer and with her making herself look and smell beautiful, that he was pleased to see her. And he said, "Queen Esther, I'm so glad to see you. What can I give you? I'll even give you half my kingdom. What would you like?" And she said, "I'd like you to come to dinner and bring Haman with you." And he was very pleased, and the king came to dinner and brought Haman with him. And Haman thought, "Oh, I'm going to dinner with the queen. Isn't this lovely?" And then at dinner time, the queen said, "I'm very, very sad, O king, because you're going to have my people killed." And the king said, "No, no, we're not going to do that." And the queen said, "Yes, Haman has asked you to have all the Jews killed, and they're my people." And the king said, "Stop it at once. We will not have the Jews killed." And he stopped it from happening. And it was Haman that was hung, and not the Jews. Because Esther was very brave and prepared to talk to the king and approach the king, even though all the conventions in the palace at the time said she shouldn't do that, she saved all the Jewish people from being killed. And every year the Jews have a festival called Purim to remember her courage and her bravery. Courage and bravery doesn't always look like fights. It doesn't always look like soldiers. Sometimes it looks like a very beautiful woman using her lotions and her perfume because she is doing what she needs to do. We can be brave in so many different ways. It's about thinking what's right for the situation and praying hard and asking our friends to pray for us too, and then going for it just like Esther did. And who knows what we can achieve. Now, we don't all have to use lotions and perfumes and all of that in order to do it, but sometimes it's the right thing to do. The main thing is be brave and courageous wherever you are, with whatever skills you have. Bring the best of you into the place where you need to be brave. Do you remember the song that we've been singing through this little term? Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos, that Bantu song with the English words. We are marching in the light of God. We are moving in the power of God. We are living in the love of God. We're going to sing it all the way through in today's collective worship. And we're going to start with those Bantu words, Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos. They'll appear on your screen as we sing. You might want to march when we march, or sway when we move, or draw a heart in the air when we sing about love. You might want to clap or snap your fingers. Let's do some actions as we join in. Are you ready? Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos, Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos, Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos, Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos, Siahamba, oh, Siahamba Kukanyeni Kwenkos, Siahamba. We are marching See a humble cook and yene quencos. When a humble cook and yene quencos. See a humble cook and yene quencos. Have a lovely week, everyone, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.